Hey you guys, what's up? Welcome back. Wow, welcome back to another episode of On My Last Brain Cell, hosted by me, your boy Disgrace. Look, I have to sit a specific way because if I don't, that's gonna happen. I'm doing this very late. It's already 7. I got up for work at 5, and I was feeling very lazy. But I told myself I need to be more consistent with this podcast. So here I am, and I didn't even get ready. I had to just fucking do this. Because you guys know me. If I continue to come up with my excuses and my reasons, I'm gonna continue to procrastinate and just never be consistent with it. And then this shit. So I was like, awesome, the sun is setting as I'm doing this. But anyway, just a quick update before we get into today's episode, which is the second part to the dating wrapped. The other day I finished my second day of orientation. This one was a lot. It wasn't as boring as the first. The first day is always boring because when you work in casinos, they always give you like the backstory of like, this is where we started and this is where we are now, and the executives come in and tell you their stories of why they decided to choose this specific hotel. I almost said the name. And why they decided to stay here and all of that, and their backstory and everything. And we got to meet the head of the security, and he was telling us a lot about like what they do. There's people walking around that are armed, which is crazy. But because of what had happened, and I can say this hotel's name because I never worked there, at the Mandalay Bay, if you guys know the shooting that happened during the country festival, they started to take more precautions when it comes to security and safety. So he was telling us all about that. We got down to like the point system, which out of all the hotels that I worked at, this is the one hotel that has given out the most points, which is kind of scary because it's like you kind of have that leniency in a way, but it's so easy to rack up all those points and it's so easy for you to get write-ups. So I'm like, I gotta stay strong, you know. But then also, like, I don't want to call out because I want to keep my job and I want to have that job security. I don't want to take advantage of being culinary and being like, oh, let me call out for this and this, you know. What was I gonna say? I already lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I don't want to call off because it's more of a process. At the other 2 hotels that I worked at, you have a specific app that you download that tells you like you could request days off, you could call off, you could see your schedule and everything. Not only would you have to call off through the app, but you would have to call in and call off. And I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that. It's not worth it. I'd rather just show up, and if I want to leave, I'll get half a point rather than a full point. Because everything is, like I said, is based off of a point system. And if they tell us if you get a certain amount of points, but then you give them 6 months straight of perfect attendance, that means like no call-offs, no tardies, no absences, no write-ups, like nothing. All the points that you got will come off. So I would rather get half a point than a full one, because that's when you get half a point, you're a lot less further away from getting all of them, or getting like that certain amount before you get a specific write-up. But like I said, this hotel gives you the most points. It's 19, which is crazy. All the 2 other hotels that I worked at only gave you 12. And once you hit that 12th one, that's when you get SPI'd, which means suspension pending investigation. And that's when they see if they're going to keep you or not. So right here is 19, and I'm like, if you could get up to 19, there's something wrong with you. Why are you even at work? So I ended up finishing the second day of orientation. After all of that, they go through all the processes of all of that, also talking about human trafficking, because here in Vegas, and specifically on the Strip, it is like a really big thing that's going on. So this is something that I've gone through a lot with the orientation, not like the human trafficking part, but with the orientation was that they tell us usually like there's like a certain age of the ones that are being trafficked, unfortunately. Their body language, the way that they dress, because for instance, they could probably be dressed all hooched out, but if they're not going to a fine dining place or one of the clubs, like if they have no reason to really be dressed like that, kind of, you know, like how I said, going to like a club or whatever, that's where like they kind of get suspicious with it. But it was just a lot of that type of information. It was also going, like I said, the point policy, the absences, how tardies work, different managers work a different way, different departments work a different way. After that, you pretty much like what they call like you graduate from that, and then you meet your manager. When I got hired, like how I think I talked about it in one of the episodes, I can't remember. I had an entire group interview, and with me included, it was 10 of us. Out of that entire group, in this orientation, I was the only housekeeper. And I was like, damn, like none of you made it. And I was like, they hired none of you. After that, so yeah, I was the only housekeeper in there. So when the manager came to pick me up, I was literally the only one being picked up. I was like, okay, awesome. My manager's very weird. I mean, he was cute, but he's also one of those that's like very awkward and shy, and like he doesn't know how to be sociable. And I was like, how did you even become a manager? What? Why did they choose you as a manager if you can't even talk to me properly without making the conversation awkward? He told me that I would start. So I think once this episode comes out, I would have already started, because I'm filming these like back to back. So if we're still in this timeline and not when this episode gets uploaded, next Friday, which would be the 30th, yeah, that's when I will start. Because he told me that, you know, he would hopefully be getting more people. Because I know that they don't want to waste an entire training session on just one person alone, you know. Every time I've done the training for housekeeping, it was always like a group of people. So I told them, I was like, it's fine, I could wait, doesn't matter, I have another job. I let them know already that that's gonna be my entire last week, that my last day is Thursday, because Friday's when I start, you know, because I can't be at that place anymore. They pissed me off the other day, or yesterday. I told one of the assistant managers for almost 3 weeks that, hey, the 20th and 21st I have orientation and I'm not gonna be out until 5. I found somebody to cover me the 20th, but the 21st there's a manager that me and him always work, and I was like, it's fine if he works alone because I constantly fucking work alone. The 21st, which was the last day of my orientation, they are both blowing my phone up asking me where I am and if I'm coming into work. And I was like, I told both of you dumbasses for almost 3 weeks now that I have orientation today. I was like, straight men don't fucking listen. And I was getting so fucking irritated because orientation in general, like how I talked about in the other episode, it's very draining because it is so much talking, it is so many speeches, there's so much information being thrown at you the entire 8 hours. Like, yeah, you have your breaks and your lunch, but it's so much shit being thrown at you, and a lot of like group activities that you have to do and everything like that. So they were both blowing up my phone, only for me to realize that I still had to come into work, and I was like, fine, I'll fucking come, because the assistant was telling me that there was nobody there to cover me. And I was like, if I've worked alone before with somebody else in the drive-thru area, he can too. The thing with this company is that because I am, not this sound however it's gonna come off, but because I am the strongest and I am the fastest, they abuse the fuck out of me. So I was like, he could stay alone, it's fine, but he was freaking out because he kind of sucks as a worker. So I come, he ends up calling somebody in because supposedly he thought that I had called off. And I was like, why wasn't this expressed to me? I didn't even have to come in. But when that person that was supposedly replacing me comes in, that manager leaves because he's tired. And I'm like, I have been asking for this day off for almost 3 weeks. I was like, but you get to leave because you're fucking tired? When I told both of you dumbasses that I had orientation this week, it pissed me off so much that I was like, thank God I'm not gonna be working here anymore. I'm like, because you guys are fucking ridiculous. I'm sick of this shit already. So I told them, I was like, my last day's Thursday. I was like, because I start on Friday, so fuck you guys. And I told them, I was like, I have three weeks training, don't schedule me, I'll let you guys know when my availability is. But who knows if I'll ever tell them, or maybe I'll be even more part-time, because I used to, when I was at this job and my last housekeeping job, I would work both jobs for 3 days straight. I might just do like 1 or 2 because I don't want to deal with it anymore, man. But anyway, yeah, after that, so yeah, I met my manager. He told me I would start next Friday. He ends up, as I'm going back to my car, he ends up calling me. He's like, hey, sorry Adam that I'm calling you so soon already. And I was like, no, it's okay. And then he hits me with, is that your natural hair color? And I was like, no. I was like, I dyed it, but prior to all of this, I asked them if I could keep it, and they said it was okay. I was like, because I told him my hair was blonde, that was almost white. And then he was like, well, in housekeeping we don't really do that. And I was like, well, they told me I could keep it, but I told him, I was like, if you need me to dye it back, it's fine. And he was like, yeah, you just need to have it dyed back before Friday. And I was like, I asked you motherfuckers. I was like, I asked you guys, even though yes, I don't mind because I'm making so much more money than I ever have as a housekeeper, so I really don't mind. But it's like, you guys could have just communicated with me better about this. I do have like a fake hair dye. It's the L'Oreal Root Spray. I use that for my, I won't lie, I used that for my first interview because I didn't want to fuck anything up. Right when I was about to do my orientation and my processing, that's when I asked them, like, hey, my hair's blonde, almost white, is it okay for me to keep it? They told me yes, and then they told me no. So I'm gonna just change it, it's fine. I'm gonna still keep it like this. I'm gonna just, because since I'm on call, I'm not gonna be on the schedule all the time, so I'm gonna just wake up in the morning and just spray my hair black. Because bitch, I went through 3 rounds of bleach. For me to dye this shit back, no. You could wait, even though my roots are growing back, but whatever. But yes, in the next episode, I'll keep you guys updated on how it goes. The sun's just gonna keep showing up. I'm trying to move, but it's gonna happen, I'm sorry. But anyway, today is the second and final part to the dating wrapped. Today, like I said, it's gonna be a little bit more juicy, a little bit more information on certain men that I was speaking to. I'm gonna be talking about, I think, 3 of them. One of them we did make like how I said in the last episode, me and my best friend talked about one specifically. So I'll link that episode down below if you guys are interested. You guys probably know him by what I used to call him, which was the Cholo Daddy. So if you guys want the full tea on that one, I'll link it down below, because I'm only gonna speak about it to certain parts. I'm kind of tired of talking about him, so yeah. So let's jump into all of these. Oh yeah, there's another guy that I wanted to talk about, which will make up for me not really talking about that one that I just said. So after, from like the last days that I went to, when I finally was like relieved of COVID, I went on a date with this one guy that me and him were always mutuals for a while on Instagram. I always had a crush on him. I always thought he was cute. I just never really had like balls to hit him up and be like, hey, what's up? But one day he posted on his Instagram note saying, oh you guys, I think I'm ready to fall in love. So that's when I hit him up, and I was like, fuck it, let's do it. Just me being stupid like always, just taking nothing serious. It's a Sag in me, I'm sorry. So I hit him up, we talked. I let him know from the get-go, because I've been bitched about this for like a lot, was that he was like, oh, I really need like communication and all of this, and I was like, I respect that, I do, because I'm just the same way, but please just keep in mind that I am working 2 jobs, and my main job is a housekeeper. So with that job, there's times where I can't even be on my phone. Like, you won't hear from me until the very end of the shift, but before I clock in, I will always let you know. So the conversation over the phone was really good. He matched my energy to a certain degree. He matched my humor to a certain degree too. It was the date that kind of ruined it for me. So the day of the date, I show up, and me and him are just like, you know, just talking, bantering, doing the whole shit like how you do when you're in a relationship. I mean, when you're on a date. What the fuck? when you're on a date. Sorry, some guy was walking by and he distracted me. He comes to the date with very negative preconceived notions about me, because he knows that I'm a lot older, and he knows that I'm a millennial. So he was like, I thought that you would be speaking more millennial, which, if you ask me, I don't know what the fuck that means. I was like, me speaking more millennial, I don't know what you're trying to tell me. Hey, what are we talking about? I don't know what he was talking about. I think because like my vernacular, or just was more updated. I guess you could say, like, I know like the slang, or what some people say, like, oh, I know what the cool kids are saying. Because even though I am a millennial, I'm 95, so I'm very in between. So I was raised a millennial, but also I was kind of raised Gen Z. So I'm kind of up to date with certain things. So I guess he just thought that I was gonna speak like a boomer. And I was like, but we have spoken over the phone, like through text, and you see how I am on social media. Why the fuck did you even think that? First and foremost, what gave you that energy? Like, what did I do to give you that energy, you know? So I was like, okay. Anyway, came off very judgmental, because there were certain things that we were talking about, and he was like kind of judging me for it. The thing that really annoyed me was that his entire energy kind of gave me like pick me. It was that type of shyness, that pick me shyness, where it's like, oh my god, I'm so shy. Oh, I wanted to hit him. I wanted to rock his shit, dude. Like, because through text, he was really funny. He knew how to banter. Like I said, to a certain degree, he matched my energy and my freak and all of that, which I liked. But in person, it was completely different. He had that whole shy bit going on. He was just a fucking imbecile in person. And I hated the entire interaction with it. So after that, I kind of had a conversation with him about that, where I was like, I haven't really been texting you, because you did kind of come off judgmental during the date. I was like, you were judging a lot of things that I was saying, even though when you were asking me for my opinion about certain things or what I thought about certain things. And then he goes, oh, well, I don't know, you know, like, no one's perfect. And I'm like, I get that. I was like, but what is the point of you judging me? You're asking me for my opinion, and then you come out of your ass with some of the shit that you were saying. So after that, I just removed him as a follower, because I was like, we should have just stayed mutuals, dude, because I don't like the side of you anymore. If I'm being so real, I was like, I don't like to look at you, and I don't feel the same way about you anymore. And at times he pops up in the drive-thru at my other job, and even though I do think that he's cute, when I saw him the other day, all of it just flooded back to me, and I was like, now it's like seeing you again reminded me why I've always hated our interactions and why I've always hated you. You know? And then we matched on Tinder, and I was like, you know what, I was like, we're gonna have that conversation. So me and him recently had that conversation of like, this is why I kind of ghosted you, or why I took you off of Instagram, because you were acting like this. And then he was like, oh, well, I could see where you're coming from. He said, I'm very confident in myself. It's just that I can be very bitchy and very cunty, but I don't know if you were gonna be able to handle my attitude. And I was like, baby, you must not know me then. I was like, because I'm a fucking bitch. I was like, do you not see how I act on social media, specifically about men? I was like, what gave you the energy? Again, what energy did I give you that you couldn't be yourself around me? But then he was like, I was also really shy because I found you very, very attractive. And I was like, bullshit, I don't even care. I was like, stop lying. So I just told him, I was like, you know what, I was like, it's cool. I was like, we both cleared the air, and we could just end it here. Like, we don't ever have to talk to each other again. And he unmatched me after that. He agreed, and then he unmatched me after that. So with him, I'm gonna give him like a 2 out of 5, because it was just that whole energy that pissed me off, and him being very judgmental about it too, about everything. And it was just, we should have just stayed mutuals, dude. I was like, so then the guy before that too, now with him, baby, strap in, because it's a story. It's a story. I met this man back in August of last year at a goth gay club, or like a goth queer club here in Vegas called Oddfellows. At the very last minute, one of my close friends invited me to go to Oddfellows with her, and I was like, you know what, I'm off the very next day. Let's do it. I don't mind. I want to see you. We go, we have fun, we dance. She makes friends with his friend group. And then I saw him, and to me, he was cute. And I asked one of his friends, I was like, is your friend gay? And she goes, yeah, he is. And I was like, tell him that I need him. Just already starting it off like a fucking idiot. I was like, tell him I need him now. So she tells him, and I could kind of hear him where he was like, you're lying, he didn't say that. And she goes, no, he did, look, he's right there. Me and him at this point, after me and him talked about it, we were wasted off our ass. Like, we were drunk as fuck. I think during that time, I might have had like 10 or 11 Jack and Cokes. Because at Oddfellows, the drinks are cheap, dude. And baby, as a housekeeper, I make money. So I was like, fuck it, we ball, you know? So I ended up having one too many drinks. Me and him we're making out on the dance floor, we're making out outside, it's a fun time. I don't remember giving him my number, but I guess I did, and my Instagram. Just handing out my Instagram to just everybody, because I woke up with new friends that day, and I was like, hi. Me and him, we tried to kind of get to that point of us like getting to know each other, but the thing with him that I realized that we were both on opposite ends. Meaning, like, if you guys have heard like the attachment styles, he's very anxious attachment and I'm very avoidant. And that's what was the problem between me and him, was that he told me he's never really had a boyfriend before, and then he is also very anxious attachment. He's one of those where he needs constant reassurance, he needs emotional stability. And as an avoidant, I really can't give you that. It is something that I've been working on. I am getting a lot better, be more empathetic. I'm learning how to become more emotionally intelligent and all of that, because I am very self-aware that not only am I avoidant, but I have BPD too. But I know that there's certain things that I can do to kind of help change myself, and to not really just become complacent, you know, and comfortable, you know, because once you become comfortable and complacent, that's when it gets really, really bad. You know, like how I always say, I get that we all have traumas and we're all fighting our own demons, but at a certain age, you kind of have to change yourself, and you kind of have to break out of that, you know, because it's embarrassing when you're at your grown ass age and you're blaming, you know, the world and your parents and everybody else for all your problems, but you're doing nothing to change it. But he met me during a very bad time, because that's when I was still again using alcohol as a way to avoid everything. And then I feel like I've just always been in the phase where I don't give a fuck about men, so I didn't really care about him, and I made it blatant. And him being anxious attachment, he was trying to do, and being a people pleaser as well, he was trying to do what he can to please me and to be there for me, but he was overly asserting himself. And when you do that with an avoidant, it kind of bothers us and it triggers us. So that's when I was like, okay, we can't do this anymore. I kept him, usually with other men, I would just drop them and I'd be like, yeah, I can't do this, bye. I kept him around because he was, putting all of that aside, he is a really good person. And on top of that, he is a really good friend. We would hang out a lot. I wouldn't really say he matched my banter. I mean, now he is, because he's getting more comfortable with me. But we were hanging out a lot. It was really fun. Eventually had to have that conversation about why this wasn't going to work out. And I told him, I was like, I just see how unhealed you are. I was like, but also so am I, and you're anxious and I'm not, and it's just not going to work out, because you're asking things of me that I can't give you. I was like, and right now I can't give it to you because I don't know how to. I was like, and even when I do, me and him had that conversation afterwards where even when I try to put in my fullest effort, it's still not enough for you. Because that one time that you call for me and I can't come, you'll hyper focus on that, and I'm deemed the bad person. And that is what I don't appreciate. Because he also knew that I worked 2 jobs and I was constantly busy. And I told him, I was like, we used to hang out a lot. Like every week we were always with each other. He was the one that, if you guys remember on my Instagram, we used to go to the boozy bingo a lot before I got sober. But in those moments where we couldn't hang out, or I couldn't be with him, or I had plans with someone else, it would always hurt him. Or he would always make me the bad guy and be like, see, you put in effort for everybody else, you make more time for everybody else. And I'm like, I've been seeing you nonstop. I haven't seen my friends in a while. And also what bothered him too was the fact that I was still going on dates and still talking to other men. But the thing, like how I talked about in the last episode, I'm still single. You know, like what I talked about too was that, like, you're not my man. I don't owe you loyalty. I don't owe you exclusivity. I don't owe you anything. And I even told him that from the beginning. I was like, I keep my roster because I don't owe you anything. I was like, I'm not gonna completely remove everybody for just one person for that to go to shit, and then now I'm left with nobody, you know? Which I know sounds horrible, but it's the truth. It's like, we're not together. We're only getting to know each other. We're dating. There is no exclusivity. There is no loyalty. And I told him that from the beginning. I tell every man this: I don't give you any of that until we become something. Until you prove to me why you deserve not only my loyalty, but my exclusivity. And that's never gone the right way, because even when I give men the full transparency, it will always bother them. Then I come to find out that it bothered him because... Oh, okay, let me get into the situation first. Because then that's when he revealed to me why it bothered him the most. So once we start becoming friends, he knows I'm still talking to other guys and all of that. Months pass by. We end up going to Corduroy for a boozy bingo, but that's when I'm already sober. But I think that was at the beginning of this year, I believe, and then that's the month that I fucked up my sobriety. But when we went there, I was sober. There was this guy there. So this random group came up to talk to us, and there was a gay guy there, which you could tell he was, and he kept eyeing me. And he was cute too. I was like, hey. He was talking to the both of us, and then he asked me, oh, is that your man? And I was like, no, he's just my friend. The minute that I said that, he ignores him and starts talking to me only. And then he starts telling me like he's in a relationship and that, you know, he's unhappy because he's not romantic, but he's comfortable, and it's been 5 years. And I was like, damn, you have to get out of that, dude. I was like, not you just telling me your whole life story. I was like, but I was listening to him, and I was like, you just have to get out of that. We added each other on Instagram. He kept complimenting me. He complimented my eyes and all of that. He all of his friends, because so in Corduroy we were sitting in front of like this like kind of like window looking thing. They sometimes open it, and then right there's a patio where you could go out and smoke and all of that. So they were standing out there. All of his friends had come inside, and then he comes inside, and he literally puts himself on me because my friend still likes me. He ends up leaving because it becomes too much for him. This man out of nowhere starts making out with me. Do I stop it? No, because hey, again, I'm single and he was cute. And he wanted me and I wanted him. So I was like, it's fine. My friend comes back and then he runs back. He comes back from the bathroom and then he runs back over there to that area where the bathroom is. And he starts calling his friends over because we were in a whole group. He starts calling his friends over and he's like devastated. I ended up finding out later that he was like devastated. He was sad. He was angry. He was like, he knows how much I like him and he's over there doing that bullshit in front of me. And he also knows how much I like him and he won't be with me, but yet he's doing this shit with a stranger and yada yada. He made an entire fucking scene with what happened. Like a whole ass scene. I was incredibly embarrassed because not only, and I even told him, I was like, not only did you embarrass yourself, but you embarrassed everybody that was with us, because it was a good group and we were having one of the funnest nights ever. And then that shit happens and the energy goes down so fucking low. The entire time I'm still making out with him, but then later the night ends, he goes home and I go back with like our little friend group. We all end up going home, and that was the one time I didn't bring my own car, so he had to drive me home because he picked me up and he had to drive me home. And then me and him had the conversation in the car and I was like, are you good? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, don't act stupid, you know what I'm talking about. And then that's when he tells me, I just find it disrespectful that you know how much I like you and you did that in front of me. And I was like, and I told him, your feelings are valid because they are. It must suck to see someone that you like doing that with somebody else. I was like, but on the other hand, I am single. Me and you, we're just friends. I don't owe you, again, I don't owe you shit. And again, I am single. I'm allowed to act accordingly. If I want to kiss whoever I want, I'm going to kiss whoever I want because I don't belong to anybody. And I never will. You know, so I was like, and I told him, I was like, your feelings are valid, but I'm single, dude. I was like, I'm allowed to do whatever I want. And on top of that, I wasn't the one doing it. He kissed me. And he's like, yeah, but you did nothing to stop it. And I was like, why would I? Again, I am single. I was like, and that's when me and him, after that, we had like a discussion about it. And I told him, I was like, I can't be your friend anymore, dude. I was like, I can't. Because you make being friends with you so fucking hard. Me being friends with you also means that I have to treat this friendship like a relationship, and I have to take your feelings into consideration, and I can only fuck around with you, and I can only text you and this and that. I don't fucking want that. That's already a relationship. I don't want that shit, dude. So I told him I can't be your friend anymore. I was like, because you are constantly deeming me the bad guy to all your other friends for what I'm doing when I'm single. How the fuck am I being made a bad guy for being single when me and you are just friends? So I was so fucking upset, dude. So in that moment, I was like, it's gonna take a minute for us to hang out again, and I don't know if me and you ever will. I was like, because you really crossed the line this time. Yes, I may have hurt you, but you need to keep in mind that me and you are just friends. And again, as I've been repeating to you, I am single, dude. I don't owe you shit. So for a good couple of months, me and him weren't hanging out. He was still trying to like invite me out places, and I had to tell him, I was like, I don't know what is it that you don't understand, that I don't want to be around you and I don't want to see you. And me and him had a full conversation about that, and he was apologizing a lot, and he was like, I'm sorry if I did anything to hurt you. And I was like, you didn't really hurt me. I was like, you just annoyed me and you embarrassed not only me but yourself and everybody that was with us. I was like, and for a man that I don't even speak to anymore. I was like, me and him added each other on Instagram. We talked for like a quick second, but I also knew he was in a relationship, so I knew that was bad on my part. So me and him don't talk anymore. We're just mutual. I was like, we just keep it cash. I was like, you tripped out over a man that I don't even speak to anymore. I was like, that was for like a good time. I'm here for a good time, not a long time, you know? And I told him, I was like, I don't know if me and you were ever going to be able to hang out again. I was like, and I told him again, I was like, because you made it seem like us being in a friendship, I had to treat it like if it was a relationship. Because you would trip on me for not texting you, but I don't have to text you if I don't want to. I was like, you're not my man. But you were treating this friendship as if me and you were together. So it was so much shit. And I didn't see him for like maybe like a month or two. and he was still trying to hang out with me, and that's when I had to tell him, I was like, it's gonna take a minute for me to hang out with you. I was like, because this was, I'm not trying to sound dramatic, but I wouldn't want, not that it was traumatizing, but I'm like, now I'm gonna be on high alert that if we hang out again and another guy comes up and gives me attention, are you gonna act the same way? Are you gonna cause a whole fucking scene again? And then that's when he revealed to me that also, when me and him were just talking, that it bothered him the most because of how insecure he was. Because he's very insecure with himself, and then he has never gotten the type of attention that I've gotten, which I get it. I get attention, we all know, I get it, it's whatever. But I even told him, I have only been getting the attention that I've been getting because of how much weight I lost. Because if anybody knows how the gay community is, I have only been getting attention because of all my weight loss. When I was bigger, I rarely ever got attention like that. But even when I started off at my first housekeeping job, and even this last one, whenever I was in a smaller body, that's when I would get the most attention. So that's why I don't give a fuck about that attention, because I know that attention is all superficial. It's meaningless bullshit. That's why for me, just kissing him was like a good time, and then after that it was just, okay, I get to go home and it's whatever, you know, no strings attached. And he didn't even live here, he lived in Riverside. I believe he's in Riverside. But I told him, I was like, again, your feelings are valid, because that must suck to have to go through that, to have those feelings. I was like, but that's what makes the situation so much worse, is that you were projecting all of your shit onto me. It is not my fault that you don't get hit on. It is not my fault that you don't get the attention that you want. I was like, I don't even ask for it. These men come up to me. Even with me having like a natural bitch face, these men come up to me. And I was like, and again, you were making me the bad guy because you were projecting all your own shit onto me. I was like, that pisses me off even more, and that actually hurts, because it's like, I didn't ask for any of this shit, dude. I was like, and you even knew from the beginning the type of attention that I do get. I was like, that's nothing that I could stop. And that's what I even told him. I was like, that's why me and you will never work out, because as fucked up as it may sound, and maybe I may come off a little egotistic or conceited when I say this, but it's like, you have to be a bad bitch in order to be with a bad bitch. You can't be with somebody who gets a specific amount of attention and be an insecure man, because you're not about to make me feel bad. And I told him that too, like messing around. I was like, you can't be mad at me because I'm so beautiful. It's like, it's a joke, but at the same time, it's like, you can't be mad at me, you know? So me and him had met one day to really talk about everything. And then I told him, I was like, right now we're really gonna have to start working on, you know, I was like, I don't want to, and I told him honestly, I was like, I don't want to lose a friendship with you, because you have been really cool. I was like, I do enjoy being around you. I was like, you are a really good friend, but it's just you constantly deeming me a bad guy just because people are giving me attention, and just because I'm acting single, even though, hey, newsflash, for the 30th time, for the 400th time, that's what it felt like, I am single. So I told him, I was like, we can be friends, but I'm gonna have to keep you really boundaried. If we are gonna be friends, we can only hang out in our friend group. That one-on-one shit, that can't happen anymore. Because he did reveal to me that doing the one-on-one and us kissing and all of that, it was kind of feeding into that delusion of him thinking that there was going to be something with us. And I was like, that is on me for kissing you all the time. I was like, but I only did it just to get you to shut up, because if I didn't do it, you would have victimized yourself and be like, oh, it's because you don't find me attractive, it's because you hate me, and blah blah blah. I was like, but that sort of is like a manipulation tactic that you were doing to me, and I would fall into it. And I was like, so for right now, we're going to stop doing that. If we hang out, there's not going to be anything physical between us, because then that's what's going to feed into your delusion, and I don't want to deal with that. So we started hanging out again in only a friend group, and then the day, I believe it was like the first day of April, or like the second day, that's when the Ethocane vinyl came out. I decided to give him a chance that day, and I was like, hey, if you want to hang out with me, to come with me to get this vinyl, we can. Now the friendship is a lot easier, because me and him have more open communication, and we talked about it all. And you know, we both apologize for our own bullshit in the way that we are and whatnot. So with me and him, he is the one person that I am still friends with. I do have to keep certain boundaries on him, because then he kind of gets into his delusions, and I'm like, you're gonna fuck up the friendship, and if you lose me again, you lose me forever, because I don't have the mental capacity or just the energy to have to deal with this shit, you know? Like, I shouldn't have to deal with this when I'm single, you know what I mean? So, but me and him are cool. Me and him are fine. It's just me having to put those boundaries on him, and when he feels a specific way, he's starting to speak up for himself, and he's like, maybe I do need my space from you for like a little bit, and I'm like, go for it, like I understand. So the friendship is a lot easier now. So with him, because I know he's watching, because he tells me he watches this. I'm gonna give him a 0 out of 5. No, I'm kidding. With all that bullshit, I would give him like a 1 out of 5. But seeing like the progress that he's making and him actually trying to change, and he's doing a lot of like self-reflection and a lot of inner work and everything, I would give him like a 5 out of 5. Because there's a lot of men that wouldn't do that, that wouldn't like not only admit to their shit, but that are actually trying to change things about them. So yeah, I guess. So on to the last one, because this episode is already getting kind of long. So we could skip the Cholo Daddy, because like I said, I'm tired of talking about him, and we have a full episode about him. Because I'm just he pisses me off. Because you know what, fuck it, I'll talk about it like a little bit. With him, I think I'm only upset, not only because, and I did reveal to one of my friends, was that I think with him it hurt me the most, because I really did like him. He was one of the guys that we had a lot in common with. There was a lot of compatibility. He was so intelligent, like so incredibly intelligent. What I was telling one of my friends too was that, because it was, well, one of my friends is the guy that I just talked about, because he was telling me, he was like, what was it about him that attracted you the most, that made you want to go for him? And I was like, it was his. I was like, not only was it that we had so much in common and so many common things of interest, it was his intelligence. Because my friend told me that he went to go see that movie that I talked about a little bit, which was called Heretic, and he didn't understand it, and I was like, of course. I was like, I didn't expect you to. Me, I went to go see it with that guy, with the Cholo Daddy, and he was the first guy that I was able to have a really in-depth conversation about religion as a whole, and what he thought about the movie, and like the certain metaphors that the guy was talking about in the movie, and then also how it tied into Dante's Inferno, because there's a specific layer, because anybody that knows me knows how much of a nerd I am when it comes to that, but there's a specific layer in Dante's Inferno that's made for heretics, and that's why in the movie you see like the poster of Dante's Inferno, and then also the way that he created like that escape room kind of looking thing was like almost like she was going through like the lower levels of hell. So me and him we're talking about that, and the fact that he knew what Dante's Inferno was, that's what did it for me. For me to pull out a special interest in him, be like, for him to know what I was talking about, yeah. Like that was attractive to me, was his intelligence. The only bad thing with him was that he wasn't emotionally intelligent, so he didn't know how to take accountability. He didn't know how to communicate his feelings properly. When it came to me, and I even told him this the last time that me and him spoke, I was like, when it comes to me, you could run your fucking mouth about me for days, dude. You have so much shit to say about me. But the minute that I bring up shit that you did, your favorite excuse is, well, I don't know what you want me to say. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Because you don't want to admit to any of your shit. You don't know how to take accountability. And that's what pisses me off. How come I'm the fucking bad guy, but you want to act like you're so fucking perfect? I was like, let me tell you the shit that you did. But then you want to hit me with, oh, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, fuck you, dude. And that's what pisses me off, is that like, is the fact that how much I liked him, and even when one of my other friends admitted that we would have been such a good couple if he was a lot more grown. And that's even what I told him. I was like, you are 35 years old. I was like, and for you to admit that you like to self-sabotage, it's fucking embarrassing. Change that shit. I was like, because me and you could be something, but you want to be a fucking dumbass. Ultimately, that's what pisses me off the most, is how unemotionally intelligent he was. Or emotionally, however you want to say it. Me trying to talk shit, I don't even know how to say it. But you guys know what I mean. But that's what ultimately pissed me off, because it's like, learn how to take accountability, dude. There's nothing wrong in that. Me and you could have worked through that. If I can admit to my shit and we worked through it, why was it so hard for you to do the exact same fucking thing? Men are so irritating. But that was it about him. Like I said, if you guys want the full explanation, I'll have the video link down below. So for the final guy, and this is the guy that I gave a chance to this year that reminded me why I shouldn't date. This was a guy that I met last year. There was a lot of things that were kind of working against us at the beginning. I didn't know that he had a kid, and everybody knows that I don't like kids and I don't want kids. So that's what kind of ruined it for me at the beginning. Me and him, he was my toxic one. Me and him went back and forth a lot, dude. Like a lot. I tried being friends with him, but it was the exact same shit as the last guy that I was talking about, was that even when me and him became friends and I was dating that cholo guy, he would be going off on me because of the exact same shit. Because I'm over here acting single. Only for me to find out that he was also going on dates and doing his own shit, but yet I was the fucking bad guy. And I don't want to be that type of person, but it's my podcast, so I can say whatever I want. It was such a typical Libra shit, because him and the other guy were Libras too, and they act the fucking same, bro. Oh my god. It is so incredibly frustrating. Where like their main focus for them is the way that like the world and people perceive them. So if you perceive them wrong, they will deny every little fucking thing. But when it comes to me, oh, they'll call me out for everything, and I'm the worst person that has ever stepped onto earth. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Me and him were only friends, and while I was dating that cholo daddy, he would even hit me up and be like, oh, you should be with me, and you should be dating me, and blah blah, and yada yada yada. And I'm like, oh my god. Once me and him stopped talking this year, I didn't want to date. And that guy, the one that I gave the final chance to, he knew that. I really did like him, because with him everything was so incredibly easy. I felt safe with him. I felt welcomed by him. The communication was so easy. He matched my banter. Like I really enjoyed talking to him. I decided to give him another chance, but it was way too much, and he was incredibly draining. He was one of those grown-ass people that he did not know how to defend himself. He was so used to being coddled growing up and for everybody else to fight for him, and I was like, that's what I don't want, dude. I was like, I don't want to be in another relationship where I have to fucking fight for you because you don't know how to stand up for yourself. I'm like, come on, man. I was like, and he would get frustrated with me, and I'm like, well, look at it from my perspective, dude. Like, I'm constantly having to stand up for you. I'm constantly having to be the confrontational one. I'm always having to speak up. I'm always the one having to do everything, but yet it's you find a way to get upset about it. And I'm like, like I said, men are so fucking frustrating. And then once me and him were talking and everything, all this trauma and all these boundaries popped up, and I was like, what was the point of you hitting me up, dude? Like, please answer me that. What was the point? While I was with the other guy, you kept on telling me that I should be dating you, and it should be you, and blah blah, and yada yada yada. And then when I give you that chance, all these boundaries come up, all this fucking trauma comes up, all these fucking issues come up as to why, oh, I just don't know how to accept love, and I can't accept you into my home yet. And I'm like, what was the point? That's what pisses me off ultimately in the end, is that, and I don't want this to come off however it may come off, but it's like, you men beg for a chance to be with me, and in the minute that I give you that opportunity, you never know how to fucking act, and you will always fucking act up, and there will always be boundaries, there will always be fucking trauma, and it's like, what was the point? And at that point, it just kind of feels like they want to heal through me, and they want to use me as a vessel to get better in life. And it's like, I'm done doing that, dude. I don't want to coddle you. I don't want to hold your hand. Grow the fuck up and change, dude. Like, leave me the fuck alone. So the last time that me and him spoke, we had, well, one of the times we got into a really big argument, because him being the jealous person that he is, he was always bringing up the past, which would piss me off. And everybody knows how much I liked the last guy, which was the cholo daddy, and that's who affected him the most. And he was like, oh, cause how did the conversation start off? Oh, cause he knows that I'm celibate, and he was talking to his friend about it. He was like, oh, I don't know how celibate he is because he was fucking around with that guy. And I was like, how necessary was it for you to say that? Not only to your friend, but just in general. I was like, why is it with you that we constantly have to talk about this guy? And then he tried to pin it on me, and he was like, you're only getting upset because you have feelings for him, or there's like some unresolved issues with you guys. And I was like, it has nothing to do with that. It's the fact that you are always bringing him up, and I'm tired of talking about him. I told you he was the one that hurt me, but yet you still find a way to fucking bring him up into every conversation. What I did with him is none of your fucking business. I was like, can we move on from that shit, dude? And we got into a whole argument because I guess I used like the wrong word, because it wasn't really celibacy, it was abstinence. Because celibacy is when you don't do anything. and he was the last guy that I only like sucked up. You know, like I haven't had sex with anybody for a year. Well, now it's been a year, and like a couple months now. So I was like, maybe it was abstinence, maybe it was celibacy. I was like, but either way, you cannot trip about me doing something when me and you were friends. And on top, and I told him, I was like, and on top of that, you're tripping out on me when during that time you revealed to me that you went on a date with someone else. And not only that, you were on Grindr, you were on Tinder, and not only that, you had your ex come and live with you when she needed help. But yet I'm the whore. But yet I'm the one in the wrong. You were out here acting single too, but because I sucked his dick, I'm the bad person. That shit pissed me off. We got into such a huge argument because of that. And I was like, whether the word was celibacy or abstinence, it doesn't fucking matter. This is coming up because of your own jealousy, which makes no fucking sense because you were doing your own shit too, dog. You were acting single just the way I was, and me and you were both friends. So why the fuck does it matter what the fuck I was doing? Oh, we got into such a heated argument about it. And I was like, I'm done talking to you, dude. I was like, because you are always bringing up the past shit that I've done, and I have never done that to you. I am only doing this to you now to let you know that you were acting just as single as I was. And again, to beat it into your fucking head, me and you were friends. And again, I was single. Men piss me off, dude. I was like, what the fuck? So, but because I had so many feelings for him and like a dumb bitch, I gave him another chance. I was right about a lot of things. Usually when men act that way about, oh, you're out here doing this, even when I'm giving them full transparency that, yeah, I'm still talking to other guys, but I'm not fucking anybody, you know, like I'm honest about that. He was still bringing it up. The one time, which was, I will say, was wrong of me, because he had called me over one time because he wanted me to be there for him because he was trying to get sober and he ended up relapsing. So he knocked out on his bed, and like I said, I know this was wrong of me to take advantage of that, but I was like, it's now or never. And I looked through his phone and I saw everything. I saw news, him sexting other guys, him talking to other guys. And the very next day I confronted him about it, and I was like, you were out here trying to make me such a bad guy while you're out here doing this shit. And with every person, he had a fucking excuse. No, it's just my friend. That's a friend. That's a friend. And I was like, all of a sudden, everybody's your fucking friend, right? But yet you're always talking about how you're always so lonely because you have no friends. But yet, just to defend the actions that you were doing, they're all your friends, right? I was like, but yet when I'm out here doing this, when I'm not even sending nudes, I'm just hitting up other guys that are hitting me up through social media, you get mad at me. But yet you're over here sending fucking nudes to other guys. So I told him, I was like, I'm done. I was like, yeah, Stuhl, like I am fed the fuck up. And I told him, I was like, right now, anything romantic between us is fucking dead. I was like, I'll be your friend, if even that. Where he ruined it was, I think like a month ago. He wanted me to pick him up and take him to work, which I didn't mind. He was going to go get his windows tinted for his car. My head was everywhere that week. My allergies were acting up and my vertigo was kicking my ass. The day that he wanted me to pick him up, I had overbooked and I got my hair cut and my hair recolored, and I was supposed to go pick him up, and I felt bad, and I was like, if I leave my haircut on time, I could go and pick you up and take you back home so you could change and you could go to work. He told me he had already called an Uber, and he was like, I'll Uber to work, but just can you take me home? And I was like, yeah, dude, I got you. Like, I'm really sorry. I apologized like crazy, and I was like, I'm really sorry, but like I will take you home. I was already at a friend's house, but I told him, I was like, I have plans with the friend, but I could just leave to go and pick you up and drop you off, and I'll go back. It's no problem. Like, trust me, it's no problem. Because I felt bad, you know, so I still wanted to do it. Towards the end of his shift, I texted him and I was like, hey, if you can, because he works for like a coffee shop, I was like, if you could just get me a coffee, because I've been craving one from that specific place. I was like, you know, I would appreciate it. He didn't text me back, which I understood because he was a closer, and I've been a closer at restaurants too, so I know not only does it get busy towards the end of the night because people love showing up like a minute before we close, but you also have to shut everything down, clean everything, make sure everything's clean and stocked and all of that. So then I'm like, oh hey, I'm on my way. Still no text back, but I expected it again because from my own experiences of working in the food industry. I parked there and I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna pay for the street parking on the side, because he works, if you guys live in Vegas, he works at the art district, and there's just parking on the sides, like it's just parallel parking. And I was like, I'm gonna park on the sides. Just try and hurry up because I'm not gonna pay for the parking and I don't want to get a ticket. I wait there for almost 40 minutes and I see his other co-workers come out who are cooks, and I was like, how did they come out before you? When I used to like close a kitchen and it takes even longer than closing the front end. I end up driving up, there's no one there. And I was like, did this motherfucker not go to work? So I just go back to my friend's house. Hours later, dog, maybe like 2, almost 3 hours later, when I had texted him, he texts me back and he's like, I didn't go to work. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And I told him, you couldn't have told me that before. And he goes, nope. And I was like, before you ruin my day with my friends, I'm gonna just thumbs up this message and I'm gonna leave it the fuck alone. I'll go off on you later. So after I'm done hanging out with my friends, he texts me and he tells me, you kind of fucked me over yesterday. And I was like, so that's the reason why you decided to fuck me over? Because you thought it would be fine for you to do that? You were getting back at me? And I got mad because I told him, whether it was romantic or platonic, if you're in my life, don't take advantage of my kindness, because that has happened before and that shit pisses me off. And he was like, you're so fucking dramatic. I didn't take advantage of shit. And I was like, yes, you did. I was like, because you had hours prior to let me know that you weren't going to go to work. From my house to your job is a 40-minute drive, and I got there on time, and I still waited 40 minutes more, dude, for you, and you didn't even go to fucking work. Yes, you took advantage of my kindness, because you made a conscious effort to not fucking tell me that you weren't going. And then that's when he starts to tell me that it's because I didn't have any money for an Uber, and my boss even tried to send me money, but I couldn't get any luck with the Uber, and I was going through a lot. And in that moment, I was so already fed up with him in general that I was like, the old Adam is coming out. I'm gonna be a bitch. I don't give a fuck anymore. So I texted him back and I was like, you are forever going through something. You are always going through something. There isn't one day where you haven't told me that you're going through it, or that you fucking relapse, or my ex this and my ex that and this is happening and yada yada and blah blah. I was like, you were already on the phone hitting up your boss. You could have taken that time to hit me up and be like, hey, I can't find an Uber. I'm gonna have to call off work. You could have showed up late and I could have came and got you. Or if you were gonna call off in general, you could have just fucking told me that. So don't hit me with that bullshit. You made the conscious effort to not tell me that you weren't gonna go into work. I was like, fuck you, dude. And the fact that you don't see that and I have to explain that shit to you, I went off on him. And then that's when he tries to like tell me, he's like, oh yeah, Adam, you want to play dirty? Then we could play dirty. But his comebacks that he was telling me were such middle school comebacks. He was like, you're mad because I'm thriving and you're so far gone and you need help, dude, because you're so sick. And I was like, girl, I have such negative self-talk, and with the mom that I grew up with, or the parents that I grew up with, you can't tell me shit that's gonna hurt my feelings. I was like, this is what you meant by playing dirty? I'm bored. I was like, I'm so fucking bored. And I told him, I was like thriving, dude. I was like, what do you mean thriving? I was like, you are a almost like 40-year-old man who his mom pays for all of his bills, specifically his rent. You can't keep a job to save your life. You can't stay sober to save your fucking life. I was like, but yeah, you're thriving. I was like, and you can't even stand up to your own fucking necks because of how much of a fucking pussy you are. Every situation that you go through, you let it be so detrimental that you go back to drinking. I was like, I don't see where in there that you could consider yourself thriving. I was like, but if that's what you want to think, then go for it. And then he was like, yeah, my mom pays for my rent because unlike you, I have parents that care about me. And I was like, ooh, burn. I was like, okay. I was like, bitch, I know my parents don't give a fuck about me. That's something that I've been known. I was like, I don't care. And he was just like going off on me. And like, after a while, I was like, I knew it was coming all from like a place of hurt, so it wasn't hurting my feelings. I was like, okay, whatever. And he was like, yeah, you don't have anything to say because you know I'm right. And I was like, yeah, you're so right. I was like, you're hitting the nail on the coffin, babe. So after that, I had to silence his notifications because I was like, this is going nowhere. I was like, because you want to win the conversation and you want to be the loudest one, I'll let you be the loudest one. And even as I stopped texting him, he was texting me constantly just a bunch of bullshit. And a couple nights went through, and then randomly that same night he sends me a text message with like a thumbs up, and I was like, you want a reaction out of me, and that's not what you're gonna get. He ended up selling me an Apple Watch. So this was the only reason why I spoke to him, like the final time I spoke to him. He ended up selling me an Apple Watch, and I told him, I was like, I don't want this shit from you anymore. I was like, I want to return this to you, and after this there's nothing that's going to be tying us with each other anymore, and after that I don't want anything to do with you anymore. A couple weeks, it took me a while to send him back the watch because I was working and I was doing just a lot of shit. I was a bit busy on my days off. So a week ago, I believe, a week or two ago, I can't remember, I went to go drop off the watch, and I was texting him. I was like, hey, sorry it's been taking me a while, but today I'll be around there at 8 to drop off the watch. And he was like, do you not want to see me? And I was like, no, I don't want to see you. I was like, when I drop off the watch, there's no reason for us to even, there's nothing connecting us anymore, so there's no point in me seeing you. And he's like, so you don't even want to say bye? And I was like, say bye for what, dude? I don't want you in my life anymore. And then he was like, oh, it's because I just don't, what? He ended up saying like, I don't know why, but I just hate how much you fucking hate me. And I was like, I really don't care, dude. I was like, and why is it a problem all of a sudden? You were shit talking me the other night, and now you're over here in your feelings. I was like, make up your fucking mind. And he was like, I wasn't shit talking you. I was grieving, and I was processing, and I was going through it. And I was like, yeah, like always, you are forever going through it. And I end up being the fucking punchy bag for it, and not anymore. And I was like, I don't want to argue with you. I'm just ending this conversation by telling you that I am dropping off the watch, and that is it. He tries to tell me like, oh, I will always love you, blah blah yada yada, and I was like, I don't give a fuck. I was like, go love someone else. So I drop off the watch, and I'm like, hey, I put it in the bag, and I wrapped it around his doorknob, and I was like, I dropped it off. And he was like, why? So someone could steal it? And I was like, so now you're back to being a bitch? I was like, if you want to play that game, we could play. So I told him, I was like, I told you what time I was coming over, so don't act stupid. And he was like, well, I'm busy right now. And I was like, you're so busy, but you're texting me. And he was like, it's because my son is in the bath. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. I was like, just let me know when you got the watch, so I can finally block your number. And he's like, you're so rude. I didn't even say anything back. I was like, there, I dropped it off, leave me alone. Because I was with friends, I didn't block his number. Then and I forgot that he was in there. Because once, of course, that's with my BPD, is that once I remove myself from you, you're dead to me. And that's also me having my Capricorn placements. You're dead to me, and I don't care about you anymore. So I completely forgot about his number, and I still had his notifications on silence. And I wake up to one of his messages. When I opened up my messages, he ends up sending me a message saying like, it's been really hard to lose you, but there's nothing that I could say to change you or to change your mind. You know, things are done. And I didn't even respond back because I was like, I don't give a fuck, dude. Like, you have been such a draining person that I don't want anything to do with you. And I remember telling him that too, where I was like, anything romantic or platonic with us is completely over. I was like, I no longer have the mental capacity to fucking deal with you. I was like, every week is something with you. I can't constantly be there for you because I was losing myself in the process. So we don't talk anymore. With him, it's done and over with. I have him blocked on everything now, and it's just done. I'm done. And this episode is done because the fucking sun went all the way down. But yeah, this was a fun episode. I needed to get that off my chest because there's a lot of shit I needed to talk about, more specifically with him because he was the most recent one. But he just reminded me why I don't want to date anymore, and why I just don't have the energy or the mental capacity to have to deal with anybody. Because every man is like this, dude. You all have so much unresolved trauma, but yet you want to come to me. And it's like, the next time I'm gonna bash your fucking teeth in. Like, I no longer have the mental capacity or just like the energy in general or the patience too to have to deal with that shit. Go to fucking therapy, seek help, because I'm about to rock your shit. But anyway, before I get upset again and before the light goes down even more, because now I'm just being illuminated by the street light, thank you guys so much for taking the time out of the day to watch this and to hear me, to keep up with my inconsistent ass and to hear the craziness of my life. Don't forget to follow me on social media. Again, I'll have them linked down below as always, and I will catch all of you in the next episode. Deuces.